Well, welcome. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Grissom. If you don't know me, I'm the president of the Standing Committee, and I'd like to welcome you to this pre-convention hearing of the 156th Convention of the Anglican Diocese of Pittsburgh. We have a short agenda for you tonight. We're going to walk through, Sarah's going to take us through how this is going to function on Zoom and voting and how this is all going to happen. Friday night is our business meeting, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to walk through the agenda and how the business meeting is going to go, what you can expect, give you an opportunity to ask questions. First of all, I'd like to open with prayer, and then we will hand this off to Sarah to give us an explanation of how to work with this in Zoom. So the Lord be with you. Father, thank you for the Anglican Diocese of Pittsburgh. Lord, I thank you for these people that are on this call tonight and for their faith in you, for their love of Jesus and the gospel. Many of them, Lord, I know and worked with, and I know their hearts, and I'm very grateful, Lord, to be a part of it. And as we go forward tonight, we thank you, Lord, for our history and for the things that have happened in the past, a history that really began a long time ago, Lord, really way back before the Revolutionary War. And we're thankful for our history, but we're thankful for our future. And tonight we commit that to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Sarah?
I already got an email from somebody. So congratulations for listening up. Thank you, Aaron. I'm going to just say it again in case you joined after I was giving my spiel. I'm actually going to, I'm going to put, I got one from Ann McCarthy too. Thank you. So I'm going to put the link in the chat box. I just sent that to Ann on accident. Let me send that to everybody. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat box for this. Goes directly to the pre-convention journal. So if you haven't seen it already, you can click on that link and you'll get the PDF. You can download it. If you really want to print 48 pages, you are more than welcome to. If you have a deputy in your congregation who really can't get online for some reason, I don't know how they're going to function. I guess maybe you could put them on your Zoom, but if you have somebody like that who really needs the journal and can't print it, we will print it for people in the office. We just want to keep that to a minimum. So if you really need it, you can let me know that. And if you should have gotten an email in the last hour or so, maybe 2 hours. I don't really remember now. It's all a blur. It would have come from communications@pittanglican.org. So if that address is not in your safe senders list, that's one thing you can check first. You can make sure that communications@pittanglican.org is in your safe senders list. If it is, and you didn't get the email, then you'll want to send me an email. And I'm now going to type, for those of you who joined a little bit after I did this before, because you wouldn't see this now, I'm typing my own email address in the chat box, and you can send me an email message to make sure that you get on the email list. You do not want to miss the emails that are going out in the next few days, because there's going to be registration information, and then we'll keep reminding you about registration. We'll be giving you more details as we have them. There are a couple of things in the pre-convention journal that are subject to a little bit of alteration. So if we update anything, we want to let you know so that you can see what those updates are. So it's really critical for all clergy and deputies to be getting those emails. So if you're not, please let me know. Okay, I will stop belaboring that point. I want to point out some Zoom features so that we can work well together in this environment. It will look different at the convention, because at the convention, we're not going to have this picture of all these people staring at us. We're going to be in a webinar format that will look a little different, but it has a lot of the same features. So I'm going to go over those features tonight. We're going to practice voting. We're going to get a feel for this space. And then when we meet for convention on Friday night for the business meeting, we'll go over the basics in the webinar so you can see in the new environment that things that you need are very similar and you can use them there too. The first thing I want to point out, it's probably in the top left of your screen, you will see a little thing that says recording. It looks like a cloud with a red dot, maybe kind of flashing on it. That's because we're recording. And it's good for you to know that. We're being very transparent. We don't want to not tell you that we're recording. So we are actually recording both this pre-convention hearing and the one on Sunday. And then we'll probably just pick whichever one seemed like it answered the most questions or covered the most bases. And we'll put that up on the YouTube channel for anybody who wasn't able to join us for whatever reason. So that's why we're recording. We will also be live. We're not live streaming right now, but we will live stream and record on convention for the convention business meeting and for the Saturday in-person meeting. So just be aware that we are recording these meetings and that they're also those are going to be live streamed on the YouTube channel. If people can't, if they're not deputies, they can't be on this Zoom call, they could still participate in convention. So if you can look at your screen, and if for any reason, if you haven't been moving your mouse around, sometimes that little toolbar at the bottom will disappear. So let me actually first point out, usually at the top right, and again, everybody's screen can look different. And if you're on a phone, it might look different, but everybody should have something that gives them an option for how they see the pictures on the screen of all the other people. And it usually says view, and it has like 9 little squares in a grid, kind of like an old phone dial pad. And if you click on it, it will give you options like speaker, gallery, full screen. Right now I have mine in gallery, which allows me to see the most of you possible, but you're still not like, I'd have to go through 3 pages to see everybody that's on the call right now. If I switch it to speaker, then you're only going to be seeing me if I'm talking, or if Dave's talking, you're only going to see him. So you can choose if you want to focus on just the person that's talking, or if you want to be able to see everybody and their reactions. And that's true in this environment. In the webinar, that will not be true. We will be controlling what you see on your screen. So just bear that in mind for today and then for the next meeting. Okay, the functionality at the bottom is going to be the most important part. In these, there's just a few things that we want to focus on. You should have a chat box, and the chat box is not something that we use a lot during our meeting, but if you had like something that was going wrong, like you couldn't get your hand raised, or you couldn't ask a question and you really wanted to ask a question, you could write in the chat box to one of the hosts, excuse me, or to everyone if you don't know who the host is. And you could say, I'm having a problem and I need help. And then at least we'll have people on the call who can address whatever your concern is. But the chat box will not be a place to ask your question, typically, unless we invite you to do that. So that would have to be something that we would initiate in the call. We would prefer that people just use it if they have like a real need, unless they're invited to ask at a certain time. And that's mostly because we're going to be really focused on running a convention, and it's often hard to catch up with all the things that come through there if people are asking questions and we're already answering questions from people speaking to us. Okay, the other thing that you really need to know is the participant box. And if you see at the bottom where it says participants, I want you to click on that if you haven't already, and it should show up to the right maybe of your screen. You should be able to see a whole list of participants. And on your participant list I think it's at the bottom, but mine looks different because I'm a host, but I think it's at the bottom of your participant box. It says like raise hand, and then you could lower hand. And excuse me, sorry, my voice is a little funny tonight. So that's the function that is going to be most important, because everybody's going to be muted in the meeting. And when we want to do something like discuss a motion that's been made, we're going to need for people to raise their hand in order for us to know that we need to call on you and unmute you. So if you guys could just practice real quick and show me that you're seeing the button, and all of you raise your hands. And when people raise their hands, what happens for us as hosts, I don't know if it happens to you, but everybody raises their hand, and goes up on my screen, and I can see the order in which they raised it. It puts you in the order that you raised it. So then we can call on people in the order that they're asking the questions. Okay, once you've raised your hand, you can lower your hand again, and then that will show me that you also know how to take your hand down. I'm not sure in this meeting how the mute function is working, but I can tell you that in the webinar, the mute will be like, it'll be like mute, a demand mute. You won't be able to change it yourself. We will have to ask you to unmute. So if you, excuse me. So if you can't unmute, it's because we haven't let you. But then if you raise your hand, then we unmute you, or we say you can unmute yourself, and you do that, and then we put you back on mute at the end. And that's how we get people's questions answered. I think the last thing, it looks like maybe one or two of you don't have a raise hand button. So I'm not sure why that would be the case. Hopefully, when we do the webinar, you'll be able to find the raise hand button in there. But I would suggest, if you can't find it right now, let's see, so far there's 3 people.
If they have a more, if they have a
more?
dot more, it's under there.
No, it
Okay.
isn't.
It's not. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Okay. Does anyone else have any suggestions? Because unfortunately, when I'm a host, I don't even have to raise
There's a
hand.
thing that says raise
Yeah,
hand.
if everybody updates their version of Zoom, that should provide the raising hand and any of the other features. Sometimes if you have an older version that you haven't updated,
Yeah.
those features are not active.
Oh, thank you, Erin. That's super helpful to know.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to say about updating, actually, and I hadn't thought to say this, but that's so helpful, Erin, because I have just noticed recently, Zoom has done a lot of updates recently. And, sometimes I didn't notice them, but lately it's been like booting me out. It's taken it off my computer altogether. I've had to keep downloading it and re-downloading it. So I think we really have to bear that in mind, that as we get closer to convention, it's really important that you make sure shortly before convention that you have the most recent version and that it's functioning. So just keep that in your mind. But thank you guys so much for helping each other. So somebody said maybe check the reactions button at the bottom of your screen. Did that work? Oh, I have a raise hand feature myself. Look at that. I'm raising my hand. I just learned something so exciting that as a host, I can raise my hand. Okay. So these are the main functions of Zoom that you're going to need. You really aren't likely to need much more than this. The one other thing you should know is that when you came in the waiting room tonight, that is what it will be like the day of the meeting. You'll come into the waiting room, and the only difference is that tonight we let all of you in all at one time. On convention night, we will have people who are verifying your status as a deputy and making sure that you really are a certified deputy. And only those certified deputies or people who've been invited to have a seat on the floor will be allowed into the meeting room. So it takes a little bit longer. I really want to encourage you on the night of convention to join the Zoom meeting 30, even 45 minutes in advance. There's going to be close to 200 people on that call in all likelihood. And that's a lot of people to certify and get in the room. So please, 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 for your sake and mine, join the meeting early enough that we have time to process everybody and get them all through the waiting room. All right, now I want to show you guys, everybody that has their hand up, if you could take it down, that would be great. And because I don't know how many of you have it up because you have a question, or how many of you have it up because, because you don't know how to take it down. Okay, so those who did not take it down themselves, I'm actually taking it down. And now, if somebody has a question, I'm going to stop. If somebody has a question, you can raise your hand. All right, so I don't think they were questions. Good, we can go on. All right, the last piece. Oh, Charlie has a question. Hang on. I just clicked ask to unmute. Did you get an unmute?
Better?
There you go. Do you have a
Okay.
question?
I don't know if this is the time or place, but let me put the question out there. I am not a deputy. I belong to a parish, but I am a committee member. How do I?
Yes, you have a seat, and I'm sorry, I thought you got an email about that. You have a seat,
Right?
but not a vote, so you
Right,
will be
I
allowed
understand.
to come in. And you'll get an
So how do I
invitation.
register though? Because you're
You'll get
saying,
an invitation.
okay,
And you probably didn't get the list tonight because we found a little glitch in the email. So the committees, not all the committees were tagged. So we have to go back in and do a little more finagling tomorrow, because every day is a new adventure in the diocese.
okay,
So you will get it. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to mute Charlie and lower his hand. Any other questions before we go into voting? All right. So the next thing that you need to see, and this is really the last thing I'm going to do with you tonight, I want to show you how the polling works. When we go to, this will apply to certain motions. Really, anytime that we have to vote on a motion, we're going to have a poll that comes up and you're going to click. It could be a yes, no, or it could be a selection like of candidates for some of our elected offices. But in any case that you get a poll, what's going to happen is I'm going to say to you, I'm going to start the poll in just a moment. And the poll is going to ask you, what is your favorite color in the rainbow? And you get one choice. And I'm going to ask you to vote on that one choice. And I'm going to say, I'm going to launch the poll now. And then you're going to see that there's a poll and it's asking you, what is your favorite color in the rainbow? So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to launch this poll. It's going to ask you this question and you're going to answer. So all you're going to do is select one answer. They will only give you one choice. And then as soon as you're done, I'm going to watch and I'm going to see how many of you got your answers in. And then I'm going to say, I'm closing the poll in 5 seconds, say. And then I'll close the poll and I'll show you the results. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to launch the poll and I want you to vote now. So I've launched it. Please cast your votes for what is your favorite color in the rainbow. All right, we're getting a lot of answers in. We're still missing a few of you. I think some of you are really on the fence about what your favorite color is. In fact, I think 6 of you are. All right, I'm closing the poll in 5 seconds. All right, I've closed the poll and now I'm going to show you the results and you can see that it wasn't really a landslide, but in fact, blue seems to be the clear winner tonight. All right, and then I'm going to stop sharing. So that is how the poll feature works. Now, every once in a while, we get a vote that requires you to pick 2 things. I don't think we've ever had anything that required more than 2 things. So now I'm going to cast another poll and ask you to pick 2 choices. And the question is, what 2 genres of music blend best together? And you can only pick 2. So I'm going to launch the poll now. And I'd like you to pick 2 things that you think go together the best. This is really an odd question because I don't think that when you put the 2 together that I can see which 2 you put together. So probably the results won't tell us very much, but at least you get the practice in picking 2 things. All right, almost all of you have answered. I'm going to close the poll in 5 seconds. All right, I'm closing the poll and I'm going to share these not very helpful results, right? So there you have it. I don't know if these are the genres that people like the best or if they all go together in really random ways, but there you have our poll results. So that's how the polling feature works. That's how we'll vote on everything. Very often we won't always share the results. If it's, but so you know, if we don't share the results, that's not because we're trying to hide something from you. All of the results are in the background saved in Zoom. So if anybody wants a specific number, like what was the percentage of people that voted yes for this or whatever, you can ask after the meeting. We are all about transparency and happy to share any of those results with you. But sometimes it becomes really cumbersome in the meeting to keep sharing results, especially for small things. Or if, for instance, we have something where we have a vote and there's 3 candidates for 2 positions or 2 candidates for 1 position, and we need to do a runoff or something like that. Sometimes it's just easier to keep moving and get the next poll ready. And we have those results if you really, really want to know what they are. But sometimes we won't be telling you everything, like putting it up on the screen. So does anybody have any questions about voting? If you do, please raise your hand. I mean, on the screen, not in the air. All right, I don't see any hands raised. So I want to turn it back over to Dave to go through our agenda.
All right, we're going to talk tonight just about the business aspect of the convention. 6:30 p.m. Friday night, and let me share with you what you can expect that night. We're going to begin with the election of a president pro tempore. How about that, right? That's Latin for the time being. So that's who I am Friday night. I'm for the time being. Usually the bishop will chair the convention, but because the standing committee is the ecclesiastical authority, I will be the for the time being, I'll be the chairperson. So that'll be our first order of business. And then we'll certify a quorum, elect a secretary of convention, and then we'll share again some more rules for how to do this on Zoom and how to vote. And then the next order of business will be to look at delinquencies, as we always do every year. Folks that haven't submitted a report, have not submitted an audit, and we'll see who we're going to allow a vote, not a vote, a seat, voice, but no vote. We always do that at the beginning, as we have done in previous conventions. The next thing that'll happen is there'll be we'll approve the minutes of the last convention. We'll consider a resolution for admission of a mission fellowship, Redeemer North Boroughs, a church that was planted by St. Stephen's in Sewickley, and they have fulfilled all their requirements for admission as recognized, and so that's all will be in the journal, but that will be a resolution that we'll put forward to admit Redeemer of North Boroughs. And then we'll hear from the caucuses of the districts and elections to diocesan council. All that has been done ahead of time, and who's on the ballot and who is elected to diocesan council. Then we'll have elections, the ballot for the array. And I want to stress that what we're talking about tonight is a preliminary agenda. Okay, so this agenda, I mean, this could change a little bit. There are a few things that we're tweaking, nothing major, but this is a preliminary agenda. So if it's a little different at convention, I just want you to know that there might be a few adjustments to it. A couple other things we're working on, maybe another resolution, but this is pretty much the way it's going to be. We'll have our elections. There'll be elections to the array, Board of Trustees, and then the last segment of what happens will be the finances. And I don't know, Sarah, I think you wanted to say a few things about the finances tonight and what's published.
Yeah, so I actually this is a format issue. It's not really a content or substantive issue for you guys tonight, but I want to show you. I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you guys can see. This is a page from the pre-convention journal that just was published today. And I want you to see what the budget looks like. And the reason I want to show this to you in advance and have you understand it is because it's really, really different than past years. This is a summary budget. And one of the things that we have talked about this year is that for many, many years, the diocese has published an extremely detailed budget, and they publish it online and they publish it on YouTube because it's, shown on the screen, and we record all these things like we're recording right now. And the budget has a lot of personal information about diocesan staff and sometimes about vendors and things like that. So we talked with the governing bodies, and we agreed that the governing bodies would see a detailed budget always. They see it every month. They get to see all the information that our bookkeeper comes up with. And so they are constantly involved, even in the weeds. But for our purposes for convention, we would publish this, this summary budget. And it's still a very complete budget. It tells you how we're spending the money in the diocese. It shows you where the money is coming from. And you'll see on the next page what those godly share contributions are accounted for by church. But I think it's just important for you guys to understand why we went to this kind of a budget, why it looks so different. And then also to know that if you are concerned about any part of this budget, if there's any one of these numbers or many of these numbers that raise flags for you, you have questions about them, you want to know details, we do always have those details available. So you are always welcome to call me in my office and talk to me. I'm happy to talk to you about the finances of the diocese if you have any questions or concerns. But so I just want y'all to understand, this is not a transparency issue for the people in the diocese. It's really just a protection that we don't put information out that really doesn't belong on the big interwebs. So does anyone have any questions about how we're presenting this? I don't think we need to, again, get into the weeds on budget tonight because we're going to give a budget report at convention. And this gives you time just to look at it and understand what these numbers are. But I did want to make sure that you saw this in advance. So if anyone has questions, throw those hands up. I think we're good to keep moving, David.
Okay, and I'll give you another opportunity for questions before we end tonight. But I want to say a word about Saturday. Friday night is the business. Last year, if I'm correct, we did our business in about 90 minutes. And so I assume that'll be about what it'll be Friday evening. But Saturday morning is very different. And when the standing committee and other leaders in the diocese, when we took a look at this convention and what do we do? We're going to do it all on Zoom or how's it going to work? One of the problems that we faced was that we haven't been together as a convention now. It would be 2 years. And the next time that we get together, we have to get together in April to elect a bishop. And we ask ourselves the question, it seems awkward, you know, not to get together 2.5 years and then to get together and elect a bishop. And we didn't, you know, we really weren't comfortable with that. And we know that it really caused a lot of more work for Sarah and for the staff. But to do both, to do business and personal, but we really feel that the Saturday morning component is very, very significant that we get together. And so it's not going to be business. We want to get together. We're going to plan worship together. The bishop, the interim bishop Mins will speak. And there are a lot of good things happening in the diocese. And last year, you know, we didn't get a chance to show videos. We didn't get a chance to really talk about a lot of the successes. And I think there are a lot of really good things that we need to celebrate. And we want to share those things on Saturday morning. And we also want to update you on the Bishop Search Committee and let you know how that's going on. It's winding down. I'm on the search committee. We're going on a retreat. Please pray for us this weekend, but we have a list of names and we're getting together on a retreat this weekend and we're going to pray and we're going to do that again in December. And we'll have some finalists at the beginning of the year after everybody has been properly vetted, but it's winding down, but we want to update everybody on that. And I just really want to encourage you to attend on Saturday. It's 10 o'clock. It will be live streamed a couple hours. There's lunch afterwards. And I don't know, Sarah, if there are more details people need to know about signing up, Sarah will let us know, but really want to encourage you to come on Saturday because there are a lot of there are a lot of good things happening. And there are a lot of people to thank. You know, a lot of people that this past year, there are people that have left, people that have retired, new people that have come on board, but a lot of good things have happened. And that's what we really want to celebrate on Saturday. And so at this time, if you have questions, Jonathan Millard is on the call. He's on the finance committee. If there are questions that you have about finances or anything else, there, other folks from the standing committee are on the call. But please, if you have any questions right now, I'll give you an opportunity to ask those. Sarah, did you have some final remarks?
There's my mute button. I do. I really just what Dave is saying in terms of the Friday and Saturday, it is a little bit complex in terms of how we get you guys registered. And so I'm still tweaking that registration form, but actually I couldn't open up registration until tomorrow because that's when we have the webinar license that starts. So I said we're going to send it out tomorrow, but Nathan might tell me that my MailChimp account will make me wait until another day. I don't know, but hopefully we can send it out tomorrow night and still send out the Friday newsletter. I don't know. We're pushing the limits of what our free MailChimp account can do, but we will find a way to get you your registration information. And what we're going to do is, like last year, if you were deputy last year, or if you're still clergy, then you may remember that the registration form is through Zoom. There's like a link that you have to register for. I think I'm saying it wrong. I'm going to stop and I'm going to say this differently. We send you to a form site, and the form site has kind of all the things that you need. It should be a little less complicated than in some years because we're not doing workshops and all kinds of things like that. So really what you're going to be doing is you're going to be saying that you're a certified deputy. It really helps for you to use the email that you were certified with, because that's usually the email we're sending to. So use that email to get yourself registered. And then there will be a question on there about whether you're attending on Saturday and if you would like a lunch. There will be an option where you can pay for that lunch. These are just going to be, I'm not 100% sure right now. I'm still waiting for a call back from one more place, but it will just be a simple box lunch. And it's the diocese has agreed to pay for anybody that would like to have lunch that doesn't want to pay for it. So if you have money and you want to pay and you don't want the diocese to pay for it, great, we'll give you an option to pay. But if you want to come and have great fellowship and that's a hardship, or there's any reason that you would rather the diocese pay for your lunch, we want to do that because we really want people to be together on Saturday. And we want people to be able to sit around tables and talk to each other and actually catch up and get to hear each other's news. So just bear that in mind. I know it's not the business meeting. You will have taken care of that on Zoom and you'll register for that on the same form, but we really do hope you'll come. So you will be getting your first registration form link either tomorrow or the next day. Hopefully, somehow we're going to figure out this MailChimp thing. And then you'll get some reminders from me as the weeks get closer to convention. And if you get a reminder and you've already registered, don't worry about it. It's okay. I don't really have a way in our system to like leave out the names of the people who already registered. It's a free system. So we get what we get. So if you get more emails from me, no problem. If you are an alternate, oh, that's a good question. So if you're an alternate, and your real deputies, but if the regular deputies are coming, you're still a real deputy, even if you're an alternate. If the real deputies are coming, and you want to still like see the business meeting and get a feel for what it's like, you can certainly join on the YouTube channel on Friday night and participate. So you don't need to register to do that. But if you're an alternate, you are invited no matter what on Saturday. And if you want to come on Saturday and you want a lunch, you are going to need to fill in that registration form. So the way the form is going to be set up, it's going to differentiate between deputies and people who are just signing up for Saturday. So it will hopefully be really clear when you go into the form and you'll be able to just follow the instructions. Now, let's say you're an alternate and you sign up for Saturday and then your lay deputy can't come on Friday and you have to fill in for them. So then we're going to have you come back in you'll be in communication with us. You would just need to send a message to me, and we will send you another link, and you'll sign in and get registered for the Friday meeting, and we'll take the other person out of that Friday meeting, so we don't accidentally have an extra deputy from your congregation. Now, the trickiest thing for us, and clergy, please listen up. The trickiest thing for us in the office is when you didn't sign up in the beginning, when you registered deputies, you didn't sign up any alternate deputies. And then your deputies can't come and you want to send someone else. And I am one person in an office. If you didn't sign up alternate deputies, I urge you to consider signing up an alternate deputy. Please, you can send me their name anytime and I can get them certified and in the system. And then if you have to do anything at the last minute, it's so much easier for everybody. So I really encourage you to do that. And then I want to say one final thing about deputies is that I said this in earlier communication. I want to reiterate it. All of the deputies for this convention are also the same deputies that will be serving at the special convention on April 30th for the election of a bishop. So please keep that in mind. We're going to do that one in person, but it's really important that you understand your role as a deputy. So the second thing I want to point you to, and I really should have pulled the link for this. Maybe Nathan can find me the link real quick for that orientation video and throw it in the chat box. But we do on the event page on our website and also on our YouTube channel, there is a short video. It's about 10 minutes long. And if you're a new deputy and you're not really sure what this is all about, I want to encourage you to go and listen to two of our, they're actually co-rectors of Trinity Washington Church, Jamie and Tracy Russell, talking about your role as a deputy and what it means to be a deputy in this diocese. So those are my two big invitations, I think, that I want to make to you to be sure to register. And if you're new and you don't know what this is all about, to make sure that you get your orientation in before convention. I think that's it for me, David.
Okay, and just a thank you so much to Sarah and our staff, to Nathan, who is new, Bonnie, the folks that we have in the office. Really, we're we're so grateful for them. And I know this has been very businesslike, and Zoom is great. I've never seen so many people at a pre-convention hearing. I had an in-person pre-convention hearing several years ago at our church in St. Albans in Murraysville, and 3 people showed up. But tonight there's 60 people on this call, and so that it's great that we can all be here and do business, but we don't want to be all business. And Saturday morning is very important. It's very important for what's going to happen in April when we elect a new bishop. We believe that this Saturday in November is going to be very important to what's coming in April. And so I hope that you'll be there. And it's not going to be business. And let me just close tonight with prayer. Keep watch, dear Lord, with those who work or watch or weep this night, and give your angels charge over those who sleep. Tend the sick, Lord Christ, give rest to the weary. Bless the dying, soothe the suffering, pity the afflicted, heal the joyous, all for your love's sake. Amen. Thank you, everyone, for getting on this call.